following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
All right, Kyle. So my mom made a prediction over the weekend. She told me that the Vancouver Canucks are not making it out of the first round.
Okay, well, either your mom's or she's right, which is, it's sad. Let's do this.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And my mom, much like you listening right now, she's scarred of 50 years of losing, okay? But whether the Canucks win or lose, we're going to get through it here on Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer since 2013, currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into the episode, we got to do something important, okay? And that's telling you to go subscribe or follow us for free wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us out a ton. I just want to tell my girl that we got a 4.2 out of 5-star podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. So make sure you leave that review, like, and subscribe. We appreciate the heck out of all of you who do that for us. Before we get into this episode, talk about seven critical questions surrounding your Vancouver Canucks. We got to shout out our friends over at Game Time, okay? Download that Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Okay. So Kyle had you covered with the post-game show last night against the Vegas Golden Knights. Another loss where Kyle called the Canucks pretenders.
Whoa!
Pretenders! Unbelievable, man. I don't know if I share the same pessimism as you, but you know what? There are some causes for concern with this team and just questions that we want answers to. So I think what we're going to do in this episode is go through 7 questions that Kyle and I have come up with in terms of what matters most for your Vancouver Canucks right now moving forward. And we'll see where the show takes us, man. Maybe a little Beggsy versus Bhawan. Maybe we'll get into the pregame prophecy for tonight against the Arizona Coyotes. We'll, of course, touch on your comments as well here on our live YouTube show. But hey, if you want to listen to us after the fact, that's cool, man. That's cool. Wherever you join us, Locked On Canucks, we love you for doing so. Before we get into it, let me introduce my co-hosts. I might try to recruit him to my ball hockey league. Kyle Bhawan, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I think I could be a second-line player, fringe first-line player on a Div Z. Is that what division you guys are in? Div Z? Ball hockey team, okay? For real. Anyways, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, talking about your Vancouver Canucks, and man, oh man, it's actually happened, man. It took a very long time, which I'm pretty proud of, to be honest, because usually I'm like uber emotional and I can't control it / see the brighter side. But again, for the most part this season, mainly because of the record, I've been there. But here I was this morning calling Trevor at 8:45 in the morning to rant about the Canucks, to just admit not failure, but trauma being true and loud in my life. Okay. I told Trevor, the Canucks for the first time last night told me that they were pretender-like. And what did you say? You told me to relax. You told me to shut the beep up, for real. I didn't see it coming. I thought we were going to have a nice 30-minute conversation about what's wrong with the Vancouver Canucks. But there was you being Deepak Chopra, man, being the Hindu that I needed. For real. I don't even know if Deepak Chopra is a Hindu, okay? I'm a Hindu. Anyways, go Canucks, go. I'm excited to do this, though, okay? Let's ask some critical questions. Let's find some solutions. Let's find some answers. And let's do so at the Don't Doze Art Lab, okay? Real talk. Home of the West Coast Bias, a place where we look after our neighbors. Hey, Vancouver, man, look after your neighbors so we can look after the world. And again, look after that West Coast Bias, man, for real. No matter what happens, we're in the dance, and I know I'm emotional right now, but when April 20th rolls around and I'm rolling, you know what, and I'm feeling high and proud of the Vancouver Canucks, I'm still going to think that this is the best team in the world, and we got a chance to win the cup. Beggsy, let's start this questionnaire.
All right, so I'll go first, and we'll see where it goes from there. But again, this is the 7 most burning questions surrounding the Canucks as they enter the playoffs. And I think number 1 for me on my list, and Kyle, might be still in your question because you made the thumbnail for this episode, but can Elias Pettersson find another gear? Because right now what we're seeing from Elias Pettersson just isn't the Elias Pettersson that we know and love in this city. Since the All-Star break, the guy has 6 goals and 20 points in 26 games. That's third overall in the Canucks, but across the NHL, that's down there, man. 0.77
Yeah.
points per game. It ain't great. Okay, so Kyle, I'll throw it to you quickly. I mean, do you think that Elias Pettersson is going to rediscover another gear in the playoffs based on what you've seen recently?
Based on what I've seen recently, damn, I was about to say something really dark. Of course I believe it, man. I gotta believe it. It's the only way the Canucks are not only gonna find themselves into June, but it's the only way they're gonna get out of the first round. Like Pettersson needs to get going. Just a bit. Just a bit. Because right now, what he's doing is like second line-esque for like an average player on an average team. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. 12 points in 21 games as well. I broke it down even further. He's got to do a lot better. There's a lot of questions about him being hurt, and maybe this is like the second question or the 1.5 question of this questionnaire, right? But is Elias Pettersson hurt? A lot of people asking that question, and I don't think so. If this team's shutting down Elias Lindholm, you know what I'm saying, and letting him play against Buffalo and Montreal, they're definitely not letting Elias Pettersson play games injured. I don't think he's hurt. I just think he's pretty bad right now, or pretty unnoticeable. And for the most part, this has been a long period of time.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of, finding that mojo. And it's funny, we did that episode about Andrei Kuzmenko back in January. The guy has one good game. We're like, did he find his mojo? Pettersson right now just doesn't have his mojo. And, maybe glass half full for the Canucks is that, a bad Elias Pettersson is still almost a point a game player. But you can just see it out there. The shift-to-shift consistency hasn't been there for a while. And we've talked about it time and time again on the show. The everydayers, they know. And, I look at last night's game and, Kyle, what have we talked about? How this line with Höglander, Besser, and Pettersson, on paper, it looks great. And they did score the Canucks' only goal at even strength last night. But overall, I'd say they were, the third best line in that game? They break even in terms of scoring chances for and against when they're on the ice in a game that, Vegas led the majority of the time. They weren't trying through most of that game. I thought that was probably the third best line last night. So
was Quinn Hughes' second goal on the power play too? Or I think it was 5-on-5. I think it was Teddy Bluger guys on the ice. I think that was a 5-on-5, like knuckleballer type of goal. Just a weird goal. One of the worst goals. Okay, one of the worst goals I've ever seen, actually, to be honest. It was one of those goals that's definitely going to be going into your you're going to be seeing in your Div Z ball hockey league, which is okay, man. It is what it is, man. I can't wait for you to, be the ball hockey player that you always wanted. Okay, Höglander, Besser, Pettersson, again, shift by shift. It's been boring / unnoticeable again. And it's surprising because now they've had two cracks at it. One against a feeler team in the Ducks and B against a, important team, a game that you get up for, right? If you're a competitor, a real competitor, and you have talent, like those are the games you want to show up for, like Jack Eichel and Jonathan Mustard Salt. But Besser and Pettersson weren't really there. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. Pettersson has to get going. It's probably the biggest concern, and I think the second biggest concern, while Trevor fixes his tech issues, is Ian Cole. Can you hear me? I don't think I think you're lagging, Trevor. I think you're lagging. Let's kick Trevor out.
I can't hear you.
Let's kick Trevor out for a bit. Get out of here, Trevor. Anyways, the second biggest concern / second question that I have about this team is involving another individual player too, and I don't know about you, but I thought more and more about June and playoff experience not mattering as much as other people are bringing up because of a guy like Ian Cole. And damn, it's been a while, right? It's been a while that this has been the case, and that's Ian Cole maybe being the 7th best defenseman on this team. AKA, what's going to happen tonight? He's probably the healthy scratch, and not for load management, but for all the right reasons if you're trying to win a game. And maybe we have Trevor back here, but if you can hear me, Trevor, I don't know if you can, is Ian Cole the 7th best defenseman on the Vancouver Canucks? I don't think Trevor has me right here. We're still going to kick Trevor out. Let me know in the comments below, because to be on for 4 of the first 4 goals the Golden Knights scored in that first period, all 4, and to be a big part of, I would say, 2.5 of them, is very talented. And for a guy like Ian Cole, a guy who wants to, not be a guy used for load management, a guy who wants to play every game. He's a competitor. He's a grizzled vet. He's one of those guys. For a guy like Ian Cole, you want to have games in which you start finding momentum, in which you start finding consistency. Because if you don't, again, a guy like Noah Juleson can take your spot. Trevor, are you back? You back?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, man. I just you went silent on me. I guess it was on my end, buddy. What I miss?
Ian Cole. Is Ian Cole the 7th best defenseman on the Vancouver Canucks? That's my question right now.
Ooh, there we go, man. That's what I like to hear. Maybe should we do the drop, man? A little Beggsy versus Bhawan. Who is the odd man out once the playoffs start? Let's do it, baby.
Come on, man.
All right. I mean, based on last night, yes, Ian Cole is the 7th best defenseman on the Canucks. He hasn't looked the same since, the first couple months of the season. And we talked about Pettersson being banged up. Ian Cole has had maintenance days. He's been healthy scratched because of dealing with something. So it sounds like Ian Cole is going through something right now. But
is he going through something, or like is everything like an injury thing, or is it just like, yo, you're just playing bad hockey right now?
I also think with Ian Cole, yeah, to an extent, he is playing bad hockey right now. But I also think the bar is higher for Ian Cole, right? This is a veteran guy, a guy that's, a proven winner on playoff teams. And, when I look at Ian Cole, I do think that, no, he's not the 7th best defenseman of the Canucks. I do think it's Noah Juleson, to be honest with you. And I think the floor is a bit lower for Noah Juleson, the bar is a bit lower for Noah Juleson because this guy was just an AHL at the beginning of the season. So he's judged on a different level than Ian Cole is. But if we're talking about pure talent and pure contributions to the lineup, I do think Noah Juleson is the 7th best defenseman on this team. And I think he is the odd man out come playoff time.
Damn. And that's not a good thing. You can't, like, honestly speaking, like, going into the playoffs, it's one thing to talk about Pettersson, but it's also another thing to talk about, again, like, I don't know. I know that the standard is quote unquote lower and different for a guy like Noah Juleson, but just to take away him in general, like, this team is just, again, on paper, way better, and in our hearts, way better when Ian Cole is just mistake free. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't want this guy to break down as many times as Tyler Myers in a year. And you can argue over the last, like, 20 games, 25 games, bro, he's been pretty damn bad. Like, really damn bad. And costing the Canucks. It's quite alarming.
Yep. And last night was a perfect example of it. I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt to an extent because, he goes into the game, he's with Zadorov. Zadorov, gets...
Why are you so nice today, dude? Damn, bro. Boom, boom. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bound going at it today, man. Trevor Beggs, man. Not the darkest guy on the program, dude. You can say it out loud if you want before we get to break. Just say it, man. Kyle, you are the darkest guy on the program.
I won't quite go that far, but,
okay.
Even just looking at, since the All-Star break, among Canucks defensemen, Ian Cole has been on the ice for the most goals against per 60 minutes, but Tyler Myers and Noah Juleson aren't far behind. So to me, like, those are your 3 candidates for the 3 worst defensemen on the Canucks, your 3 candidates for scratching guys. I know Zadorov got scratched recently, but I do think we talked about it. Defenseman power rankings. Go check out that episode from a week or 2 ago. Not much has changed in my mind. I do think that, obviously Hughes and Hronek are the best 2 defensemen on this team. Then it's Soucy and Zadorov, and then it's the other 3 of Cole, Myers, and Juleson.
Yeah, I didn't really like the fact that Tocchet healthy scratched Zadorov in Anaheim.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it either. But
it honestly, there's still a lot of games left, in my opinion. This team needs to find momentum. Like, ice your best players, because Zadorov for the last month and a half has definitely been in, like, the top 7, top 8 most important players for the Vancouver Canucks. And, when he's on and he's feeling himself and he's keeping his mistakes at a low, which, wasn't the case yesterday. If you want to touch on that boarding hit later on in the show, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he still has the tendency to do that, but in recent history prior to yesterday, that wasn't the case. And I think taking him away from the lineup jeopardizes the fact that some of that momentum might be lost. Like, momentum is an important thing for guys like that, fringe guys, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think that was just a weird move. And maybe we'll talk more about weird moves after the break, man, because we got more questions, man. 5 more questions surrounding your Vancouver Canucks. We're trying to find answers. And don't worry, man, we still got 15 to 20 minutes left in the show. We're going to be positive by the end of it, okay? I'm gonna try my best, because Trevor's really working his hardest to be a real friend, and that's a blessing, man. We're so lucky to have Trevor today.
I'm here for you, man. And you know who else is here for you? Game time, baby. You know me, Beggsy. I'm a big last-minute deals guy. And the place that I go if I want to find tickets at the last minute, there's no other place to go. It's Game Time, baby. You know, Game Time, they got my back. And I know that because Nicole at Game Time, spending years emailing me deals, letting me know about concerts and events this week in my area. Not only are those weekly emails a tease, but Game Time offers the goods as well. The one that you should know about, the lowest price guarantee, okay? If you find another ticket on another platform, Game Time will make sure that they match it with the lowest price guarantee, baby. And hey, come playoff time for your Vancouver Canucks, tickets are expensive. You want to find the cheapest tickets, and the Game Time, that might be the place to go for that, okay? And hey, if you're not into the Canucks, why are you here? But maybe it's for your girl. You can also find tickets on Game Times for things like concerts, comedy, theater, football, basketball, baseball, and more. Now you have no choice but to get off your good-looking rear end and go check out a local show on a Friday night. Did I just call your rear end good-looking? That's what happens here on Locked On Canucks. Hey, make sure you take the get out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Man, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight in Vancouver, all my real fans.
People, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks, Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, joining you. What's the math? 14 hours, 15 hours after the Vegas Golden Knights just embarrassed your Vancouver Canucks, People getting home early, people not working that overtime, people ordering chicken wings, right? People ordering pizza, practicing for the playoffs, practicing that routine, right? Life's all about routines and habits. They're warming up, and what did the Vancouver Canucks do? They embarrassed you, man, but, as they say, it's all about the next game, and at least we have Arizona, right? Speaking of which, this is my personal question, not a critical question, but give me some advice, man, because I'm not really hyped for this game against the Arizona Coyotes, man. Like straight up, dude. I'm being honest here, but it's just like such a drop off when it comes to the emotion. Like as a fan, I'm waiting for the playoffs, and you saw what happened yesterday, and it's just like, just hurt, dude. Now we got to go into an arena full of 700 people to play a purposeful game. It just feels kind of off.
Well, the funny thing about the arena with 700 people, I was looking this up for a coworker who's just in Arizona. Dude, the cheapest tickets you could find for a game at Mald Arena are like $100, and this is for like Coyotes and Blue Jackets, So, tickets do cost a little bit down there, that's for sure. With
Trevor, everything costs more, man. Everything costs more. It's 2024 inflation, I bought red peppers for $8 a pepper the other day.
That's crazy, man. Who knows, man? Maybe it's time to buy stock in the Canucks power play, man. And this is one of my questions. Can the Canucks power play rediscover their mojo when the playoffs start? And I think to me, this might be the biggest burning question about your Canucks, because offensively, they haven't been the same team since the All-Star break. If you want to look at their numbers on the power play since the All-Star break, they're tied for 25th in the NHL, along with the Boston Bruins, okay? Teams like the Anaheim Ducks, the Chicago Blackhawks, the San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks actually have the second best power play in the NHL since February 1st, but that's another bizarre story. And the Canucks power play rediscover their mojo by the playoffs. And they scored last night. Pettersson net front. I know we got some thoughts on that, but can they do it?
I think they can do it if they move less. I know it's ironic because you just said, the Canucks scored a power play goal yesterday and Pettersson was in front of the net, blah, blah, blah. But for a unit that's trying to find their footing, I think it's hard to do so when it's so deliberate that they're just being told to move around a lot. And the more and more I look at it, and again, I'm not like a real hockey nerd like most people. Like I don't watch every single game out there, right? But I barely see power plays move as much as the Canucks do or are trying to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like they got like 3 or 4 moving parts every 90 seconds. And that's just confusing. And especially when these players are not feeling it. Like they're not whipping it around. You know what I'm saying? And it seems as if like that type of strategy complicates things. And I kind of wish they kept it more simple. And when trying to find, again, a footing or any consistency on the power play, try not to be so comfortable with giving Pettersson the puck less.
Yeah,
And
I would agree with you to an extent. And you made this point before, Kyle, and it's a good one. Every Dayers have probably heard this point too. But, some of the most lethal power guys, play guys in the league, Ovechkin, always in the same spot, top of the circle. Draisaitl, always in the same spot, low on the circle.
McKinnon, Kucherov, Stamkos, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just too much, man. Too much juggling for a team that's really trying to find their game. And I think players are looking for consistency. And I got a big question to ask. Like, it was about to come out of my mouth right now, but I just want to, make sure that you're done explaining your thoughts on this power play and like your predictions. Because I don't know if they can, to be honest. I don't know if they can. Because again, they need to find comfortability. They need to find line mates that they're gonna be around for more than 5 periods, more than 6 periods. And right now, Rick Tocchet is not giving them one chance to find that. You know what I'm saying? I think he's taking too much control on trying to find a way for this team to find momentum other than just letting the players do that themselves. Straight up. Remember early on in the season after the Canucks were, ripping it up, how many times Tocchet, probably the most honest guy in the NHL, would often say that he didn't do anything. He didn't say much. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't in his hands. I think he has to do the same with his lineup and just consistently put out the same lines, even if they're not working, just for a couple of games. Because I'm not saying he's lost the room. I'm not saying that. He's the guy. He's the alpha. But I bet the players, especially when one of those players is Pettersson, who's lacking a lot of confidence, I bet the players collectively are just confused. Just a little confused. And they're already off their game. So I don't feel as if that's a recipe for success, especially in a moment where the Canucks, in my opinion, desperately kind of have to find their game. Like, Vegas is getting a lot better. Like, they're great again. And the Oilers smell blood.
Yeah, here's where I'm gonna hit back on that a bit, Kyle. Like, I actually don't think the players are probably confused by what's going on, or at least they shouldn't be confused, because I think the guys that you're seeing move up the lineup, for the most part, there's been some outliers like Baines and Lafferty with Miller, but for the most part, guys that are moving up the lineup are guys that deserve to be there. And you look at the lineup from last night's game, Höglander and Besser with Pettersson. Pettersson, he struggled compared to his standard, but he's still one of the best players on the team. Höglander and Besser deserve to be in the top 6. Joshua and Garland have arguably been 2 of the best forwards on this team all season long. You look at that top 6, bottom 6 divide right now, it's because the guys in the top 6 deserve to be there, even if they're guys that haven't been there all season, when we're talking about Höglander, Joshua, and Garland. And that kind of leads me, and I'll put 2 questions together here as we're talking about the forwards. To me, like, 2 of the biggest questions for the Canucks are one, where does Lindholm fit with this team? Because you trade for this guy at the end of January to give him some time to get acclimatized to Vancouver, figure out a spot on this team. And here we are with about 2 weeks to go into the playoffs, and we still have no effing idea where this guy fits in this lineup. And the other question I have is, which depth players are going to step up for the Canucks come playoff time? Because if the Canucks are going to go on a long run and, prove my mom wrong, they're going to need depth players to step up. We're going to need to be talking about almost every player on this team in a positive light. And what have we seen? Again, I'm using the All-Star break as the barometer here. Pius Suter has 1 goal in 26 games. Nikita Zadorov has the 6th most goals in the Canucks since February 1st. And that's good for Zadorov, not so good for the Canucks. Mm-hmm. Sam Lafferty has struggled. Dakota Joshua has 5 points in 8 games since the All-Star break. Teddy Blucher has no goals and 5 assists in 26 games. Sam Lafferty, 3 points in 23 games. Podkolzin, 2 assists in 13 games. Go on and on. I mean, these depth guys have not stepped up like they have earlier in the season. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but, in terms of Lindholm, in terms of depth guys, where do they all fit and who's going to step up come playoff time? Those are the things on my mind.
Trevor, man, why'd you have to get so dark, man? You're supposed to be my friend, bro. You're supposed to be my friend. That was something else, man. And I just saw this tweet too from Jeff Patterson, man. That was a big one, man. This one's scary. Should I read it or what? Like, give me some advice here, Trevor, because we gotta take care of the people, man. This is the first time all season. This is the first time, like, since the summer. Like, maybe we had like 1 or 2 of these episodes in the preseason, but it's been a while since we've given this energy. Should I read this Jeff Patterson tweet or should I just leave it? Should we just
you got to read it now. You've been doing too much teasing here on Locked On Canucks.
About a thing, because every little thing. Come on, man. Okay, you know what? We'll read it after the break. How many questions have we asked? This has been.
We've asked 5. We got 2 more to go.
Okay, so we'll talk about that after the break. Okay, who's shouting out here on Locked On Canucks?
All right, let's before we wrap up the show here, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel. All right, you know the deal. FanDuel, if you're betting on sports, they are the place to go, okay? And on FanDuel, guess what? You can say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of that tourney, okay? Whether you're betting on a big upset or a number one seed, it's time to go dancing on America's number one sportsbook. And guess what, okay? It's not just that tourney that's going on. It's April, baby, which means that MLB is back in action, NHL playoffs are starting, and NBA playoffs are starting. A lot's happening. If you want to, get some skin in the game, make sure you go do so at FanDuel. Right now, they're offering you $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines, and more. So make sure you go visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops, MLB, NBA, NHL, whatever else, until they cut down the nets.
People, we doing this, and that's just going through an emotional roller coaster on this episode, man. For real. Trevor Beggs, I thought he was my friend. I thought he was gonna dig me out of this hole, and there he was at the end of the second segment, just putting shots into my soul, dude. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Okay, go ahead. Take it, Brett. Come on, man. You're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? I mean, after last night's game, I was probably more positive than a lot of fans, and that's a lot of bounces went the Canucks' way last night, or against the Canucks, I should say. But overall, I still think this is a good hockey team. I think this is a team that has another gear offensively, that's playing really well defensively, that's missing their starting goalie, and if Demko comes back and does his thing, and this team can find that gear offensively, both that even strengthen on the power play, I think this can be a really, really dangerous hockey team. And
Thank you.
that's the beauty of sports, man. You just don't know what's going to happen. But kind of like I said to end off that last segment, depth guys got to step up. And I'm not sure exactly who it's going to be right now. Like obviously Joshua and Garland, I don't even call them depth guys. Like they're key guys at this moment. But I look at a guy like Podkolzin, throwing the body around. Can he provide more offensively? Lafferty with 12 goals on the season. Can he provide more? I know Blueger and Suter can provide more. I didn't even mention Ilya Mikheyev. Like you almost forgot about this guy too, man. So the Canucks got players, and they got players who have proven they could play in this league, but they're all players that have more to give right now. And then Lindholm as well. I truly think
Pettersson and Lindholm, including Pettersson and Lindholm. Sorry to cut you off, but you name all those depth guys, and then it's like, oh, it could be concerning. And then there's like, Pettersson and Lindholm are still a part of that same list of players that are underperforming. And what if those two, including three more, can just start exceeding expectations? And I said this last night, in my solo therapy session. I said, in the beginning of the season, it was if everything goes right? If everything goes right, these Canucks will make the playoffs. Well, dude, if everything goes right, these Canucks are going to win the Stanley Cup.
It's true. No, it's 100% true, man. And again, that's a crazy thing to say based on where we were 5 to 6 months ago. I do have two more questions about this team, though, and I kind of teased one of them. Maybe I'll toss both of them out at the same time. And these both, well, one matters and one we'll see. Will Demko be ready? This is a huge question for the Vancouver Canucks. And, he was reportedly not on this road trip. Now he is on this road trip, so he's close. That's good news. I talked about it before, how, when he came back from injury last season, he played his best hockey of the year. So there's precedence for this guy to come back and play well. But this is a bit different coming back at a time where the playoffs are just about to start rather than coming back when the team is way out of it. So I don't know if we don't have the answer to that question, but that is, to me, one of the biggest questions about the Canucks and their success in the playoffs is Demko ready? And Kyle, let's talk about the last one I have on my list. And that is, does seeding really matter? I mean, the Canucks, we want them to win the division, winning the conference. That'd be cool and all. They haven't won the division since now 2013. So it's been a long time. But does it really matter, like, where they finish? They're in the playoffs. Doesn't matter where they finish.
Of course, man, because that extra home game matters, man. Come on, bro. It matters, dude. Okay, the Canucks don't have a lot of playoff experience. They're a good team, right? If everything goes right, they can go to June. This all being said, I think the lack of experience is going to lead to a couple of things, right? It's going to be harder for this organization to finish off games, right? These series are going to be long. I could definitely see the Vancouver Canucks play a lot of game sevens. Straight up. And, I wouldn't say they've all but lost the Western Conference race. Dallas 3 points ahead. They have a game tonight. They could go 5 points ahead, if worse comes to worse, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that, again, Edmonton smells a little bit of blood and all this jazz, I definitely don't want Canucks fans and the players themselves thinking that, like, it's all good, we'll get it together in the playoffs. No, you had a lead in the standings to get that extra home game with not a lot of games left. Like, good teams hold that down. Do you remember that Marcus Naslin quote, right? From way back when? One of the first traumatic quotes I ever heard in my life when he said we choked when they blew away the Northwest Division title in 02, 03, I think. That can't happen with the Vancouver Canucks. Don't put that energy out there, Trevor. This home ice matter. Come on, bro. Can I ask you a question, though? It kind of has something to do with your sixth question, okay? Bro, is Thatcher Demko the MVP of this team?
Well, maybe that's a debate for tomorrow's show, because I did see J-Pat tweeting about how Quinn Hughes is undoubtedly the MVP of this team. He should take home every award that the Canucks are handing out for team awards. And I think there's a good argument for Miller, and I think there's a good argument for Demko as well. Not so much Pettersson based on his slot at the end of the season, but yeah, I think that's a debate for later this week for sure. Or Demko and Hughes, they all have an argument for MVP. So maybe we'll do a little Beggsy versus Bhawan round 35 here on Locked On Canucks.
Okay, let's get to the comments and not that extra Jeff Patterson tweet that I was going to read out. I don't want to do it, okay? Because Beggsy, you kind of touched on it with all the depth pieces, and like you went on a ramble, dude. You were just, that was the darkest I've ever seen you, man. I feel bad for you. Straight up, dude. I hope all the toys are put away today at home, for real. When you get home, when Papa gets home, because you're pent up, okay? Anyways, let's get to the comments, and then we'll get out of here. Look at this one, okay? Oliver. Shout out to Oliver, okay? I remember when you were so excited that useless Pettersson signed that huge deal. Oliver wasn't, okay? And then we had another comment talking about the 11.6 was an obvious overpayment, I'm sorry. I'm taking notes of those comments, okay? I really am. I'm going to take notes of those names. That's personal bulletin board material, because I don't get it, man. I don't get people questioning my appreciation for one of the best players in Canucks history. You know what I'm saying? And my belief in him. And my belief in him is due in large part to, again, his consistency. He's still a young player. He's been doing his thing, doing it at the top of his class. Like, again, look at the stats. He's offensively one of the best Canucks of all time, Already doing. I'm going to trust that guy to get the job done. I'm going to put good energy into that guy's universe. I really am. Because if he's going, I truly do believe he's one of the best players in hockey. And you know what? There's some solace in the fact that he hasn't found his game yet, and for a very long time. Maybe it's going to, queue up and take off right around the right time, when the games really do matter. And again, if he turns back into that Pettersson, that alien, the Canucks have that X factor, top-notch, top-tier like player, and it's so much easier to win with a guy like Pettersson when he's on, when he's one of the best 7 players in hockey, when he's one of the best 5 players in hockey. I believe he can get back there. So I have no regrets putting a lot of love in that guy's universe, because a lot of what the Canucks need to do and want to do relies on him. It really does.
Yeah, you look at Pettersson right now, and he can make everyone in this market forget all about his struggles with the past couple months if he just comes out rocking and rolling in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think what's more realistic is just based on the way he's playing right now, if he doesn't turn it around over these next 7 games, is that, maybe it takes him a game or 2 in the playoffs to figure it out. And
that's risky.
Look, that could be the difference between winning and losing, but he could also, create a miracle story for himself as well. If he's able to, find his gear in game 3, game 4, and just carry this team, because he has the ability to do so. As much as fans, a lot of fans want to doubt it, and rightly so. Based on his performance recently, like you said, Kyle, still one of the best players in the NHL when he's on his game, and he does have the ability to take over a game, and just not a lot of guys have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and again, I hope that happens, man. I hope that we win the cup, man. Straight up, man. Straight up. And, I do also want to say, the hate on Pettersson, quote unquote, the hate. It's, dude, 12 points in 21 games. That's bad. So it's
not good. It's not good.
It's not good. And it's a big reason why the Canucks are lacking consistency, and, just kind of seeing their lead in the Pacific Division kind of disappear.
Yep. And it's not all the answers to our questions are going to be figured out tonight against the Arizona Coyotes, but they do play a game in Tempe against the Arizona Coyotes. Shout out to Lefty for this comment. He's predicting that in tonight's game, Bain's going to be out, McCabe's going to be out, Cole's going to be out, Giuseppe, Amon, and Juleson are going to come in. That's a lot of changes. That's a lot of changes at once. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if Baines comes out of the lineup after last night. It was, a game where he did struggle a bit for sure. Cole struggled for sure as well. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if Juleson comes in. Amon from McCabe or McCabe coming out in general, that would surprise me for sure. I think the coaching staff likes the floor that McCabe brings in terms of his defensive game, but man, oh man, when the puck's on his stick, he looks like me trying to play ball hockey, man. It's an ugly sight.
Dude, straight up, man. What's going on there, man? Man. Again, the depth pieces of the Vancouver Canucks. Man, Beggsy, let's get away from this, okay? Because I ended it on the whole, let's get the cup, and you ended it on, Ilya McCabe.
Well, I was thinking of ending on Deceiving Matter, and I was going to say no, because this team, when they hit their right gears, could definitely win the cup. And you mentioned that. We got to be real with the people here on Locked On Canucks, and hopefully you appreciate us being real here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Again, whether you're an everyday or an occasional listener, a first-time listener, a new subscriber, or you join us here on the live YouTube show, we love each and every one of you. Locked On Canucks, they ain't nothing without you, okay? Coming up later this week, the MVP debate is something I think we should have, and also we'll talk about whatever transpires tonight against the Arizona Coyotes, because, hey, despite all the pessimism, there's a good chance that, if Vancouver wins and Edmonton beats Dallas, all of a sudden the Vancouver Canucks are 1 point out of first in the Western Conference again, which seems crazy to think about when you think about the negativity in this market.
I think Columbus beat Colorado 4-1 the other day.
Yep.
There you go, man. Hey, man, don't worry about a thing. What's the Hindu version of that song, man? I want to learn that. I want to learn that song in Hindi, man. No, straight up, I'm trying to be more of myself. Go Canucks, go. Is that it, Trevor?
That's it.
That's it. Peace. Okay. Hit the like button, subscribe, join the Discord, link in the bio. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab, one love to the Locked On Podcast Network, and we are all Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your